She whispered, "Push when you feel it," and the only thing I could hear over my own heartbeat was him saying, "Stop, you're embarrassing me." We'd been together a year. That's not a lifetime, but at 20 it feels like one. A year is long enough to learn each other's habits, long enough to build routines, long enough to start believing you're safe with someone. We had our baby boy last week. I keep saying that sentence out loud because it still doesn't feel real. My son, my body made him. I'm the person he quiets down for. I'm the person he stares at like I'm the only thing in the world that makes sense. And yet, when I look back on the day he was born, the memory that keeps replaying isn't his first cry or the warmth of his little body on my chest. It's my boyfriend's voice in my ear, sharp and small at the same time, like a secret meant to cut me without anyone noticing. "Can you stop screaming?" he whispered. "You're really embarrassing me." I want to start at the beginning, because the beginning makes the rest hurt more. When I found out I was pregnant, I was sitting on the edge of the bathtub with the test on the sink, staring like it might change if I stared hard enough. My boyfriend, I'll call him Ryan, was pacing behind me. He kept rubbing the back of his neck like it was on fire. "Okay," he said, voice high. "Okay, we can do this. We'll figure it out." He hugged me from behind, pressed his cheek to my hair, and for a second I believed him. I believed we were a team. I believed the panic was normal and that the love would catch up. The pregnancy itself was complicated, not medically, thank God, just emotionally. My body stopped feeling like mine. I was tired all the time. My moods were a mess. The smell of fried food made me gag. Sometimes I'd cry because a commercial had a sad song. Ryan liked me best when I was calm and easy. That was the truth I kept avoiding. He didn't say it outright, not at first. It was little things. If I complained about back pain when we were with friends, he'd give me this look like, "Please don't." If I threw up in the morning and told him I felt gross, he'd wrinkle his nose and open the window like I'd ruined the air. He'd say stuff like, "Babe, you're fine," the way people say you're fine when they mean, "Stop making this inconvenient for me." I told myself he was immature. I told myself he was scared. I told myself that when the baby came, the reality would make him step up. In my head, the day I went into labor was supposed to be the moment where he turned into the man he kept promising to be. Instead, it was the moment where I finally saw him clearly. It started in the middle of the night, that deep, empty darkness where everything is quiet and the world feels like it's holding its breath. I woke up with cramps that felt like bad period cramps, at first tight, low in my stomach. I rolled over, tried to breathe through it. Then another hit, stronger. I sat up and went, "Ryan." He groaned without opening his eyes. "What?" "I think it's starting." That woke him up instantly. He sat up too fast, hair everywhere, eyes wide. For a second he looked almost excited, like the day had finally arrived and now he got to play the role of supportive dad. "We should go," he said, "right now." I called the hospital. The nurse asked me questions, told me to time contractions, told me when to come in. Ryan kept hovering like a buzzing fly. "Are you sure?" he kept asking. "Are you sure this is it?" I wanted to laugh and cry at the same time. I was the one feeling like my insides were being wrung out, and I was reassuring him. By the time we got to the hospital, I was shaking. Contractions were close enough that I couldn't talk through them. My hands were sweaty. The floor under my feet felt like it moved. Triage was bright and cold. They put me on a bed, strapped monitors around my belly, asked me my name and date of birth like I was applying for a job. Ryan stood near the wall, phone in hand, jaw tight. When the nurse checked me and said, "You're in active labor," a wave of fear and relief went through me so hard I almost sobbed. I looked at Ryan and said, "Okay." He nodded like he was steady, like he could handle this. We got moved into a delivery room. It was oddly plain, beige walls, harsh lights, the steady beep of machines that sounded like time itself. They gave me a gown that might as well have been a towel. Everything felt exposed. Every part of me felt like it belonged to the room now. The pain escalated fast. I'm not going to romanticize it. A natural birth isn't a strong woman moment with pretty music. It's primal. It's your body doing something ancient and terrifying. It's heat and pressure and panic. It's trying to stay on top of your own breathing while something inside you is literally forcing its way out. At first, I tried to be quiet. That sounds ridiculous now, but I did. I clenched my teeth, squeezed the bed rail, breath through my nose. And then a contraction hit that felt like a wall slamming into me, and I made a noise, not a cute noise, a raw sound that came up from somewhere I didn't know I had. Ryan leaned close. "Can you stop screaming?" he whispered. I blinked at him, confused, like genuinely confused. "I'm not," I started, and then another contraction hit and the sound tore out of me again. He pulled back and his face did something ugly. Not fear, not concern, embarrassment, like I'd yelled in a library. "You're really embarrassing me," he whispered. I remember staring at him with my mouth open like my brain couldn't process the words. Embarrassing. In a delivery room, while I was in labor, while nurses moved around like this was normal because it was normal. I wanted to say, "Are you serious?" I wanted to say, "Get out." But pain makes you small in a certain way. Pain makes you focus on surviving the next minute, and the desperate part of me didn't want to fight. I just wanted support. So I tried to breathe quieter. I tried to swallow my sounds. I tried to be less. That lasted maybe 10 minutes. I threw up for the first time right after they gave me ice chips. I barely had time to turn my head before it happened. The nurse was there instantly with a bowl and wipes. She spoke gently, like she'd seen it 1,000 times. "It's okay," she said. "It happens. You're doing fine." I heard Ryan make a sound behind me, not a gag, not worry. A sharp exhale, like disgust. When I looked, he had his hand over his face, eyes turned away like I'd humiliated him in public, like he wanted to pretend he wasn't associated with me. I can't explain the feeling of seeing that while you're half naked and shaking, and trying not to throw up again. It's like being abandoned while someone is still physically in the room. Later, when the contractions got so strong that my legs were trembling, I reached for comfort anywhere I could find it. The midwife had been so steady, calm voice, warm hands, eye contact that made me feel human. When the pain crested and I thought I might actually lose my mind, I grabbed her hand. Not romantically, not in a weird way, like a drowning person grabbing a rope. It helped, it grounded me. And then Ryan leaned close again, voice low so the staff wouldn't hear. "Let go of her," he whispered. "Stop being so embarrassing." I let go immediately. The midwife's eyes flicked to him, just a quick glance, but it was enough. She didn't say anything. She just tightened her mouth slightly and then focused on me again. I wanted to cry. I was already crying. Tears were just happening, and I didn't have the energy to stop them. At some point, they suggested a different position for pushing later, something that would help the baby move down. I don't even remember exactly what it was, only that it felt awkward and exposed, and I didn't care, because at that point, I would have agreed to anything if it meant relief. Ryan did care. "That's embarrassing," he whispered, looking at me like I was doing something wrong on purpose. "Why are you like that?" Like I was choosing it. Then he said a few vulgar names under his breath. I remember the sound of one of them more than the word itself, because it was said with this annoyed laugh, like I was annoying him by being in pain. I won't repeat all of them here, but it was the kind of language you use when you don't respect someone. The kind of language you don't use to a person you love, especially not while they're doing something that could literally kill them if things go wrong. Something in me shut down after that, not my body, my heart. I stopped trying to reach for him. I stopped looking at him for reassurance. I stopped hoping he'd wake up and become the partner I needed. I turned all of my focus to the midwife's voice, to the nurse adjusting pillows, to the rhythm of breathing. When the pushing started, everything became blurred and loud. I screamed, I did. I screamed because my body demanded it, because you cannot be polite while pushing a human out of you, because there is no cute way to do it. Each time I made a sound, Ryan's face pinched like he was tasting something bitter. He kept whispering variations of the same thing. "Stop, people can hear you. You're embarrassing me." The nurses didn't look embarrassed. The midwife didn't look embarrassed. The only person embarrassed was him. Finally, after hours that felt like years, my son was born. His cry cut through the room, high and shocked, like he was announcing himself to the world. The staff moved fast, checking him, wiping him, making sure he was okay. Someone said, "He's perfect," and I sobbed because the relief was so huge I couldn't hold it. They placed him on my chest, warm and wet and real. His little face scrunched up, and then he calmed when he heard my voice. For a few seconds, everything else disappeared. Then Ryan leaned down close, and I thought maybe, just maybe, he would say something kind. Instead, he whispered, "Please don't tell anyone you acted like that." I stared at him, stunned. "Acted like what?" I asked, voice raw. He looked around like we were in trouble. You know, the screaming, the puking, that was a lot. I couldn't even respond. My brain felt like it was floating outside my body, watching. The next day, after some sleep and the adrenaline wore off, the shock turned into anger. I tried to talk to him, calmly. "Ryan," I said, "about yesterday, you hurt me." He blinked like he didn't understand. "What do you mean?" "You kept saying I was embarrassing you," I said. "You called me names. You kept whispering it while I was in labor." He stared at me for a moment, and then his face went flat. "I didn't say that," he said. I waited. Maybe he meant I didn't mean it. Maybe he meant I'm sorry. Maybe he meant I was scared and I said stupid stuff. No. He meant he didn't say it, like it never happened. "Yes, you did," I said slowly. He shook his head. "No, you're being silly." Silly. Like I was telling a little story, like I was confused, like the hours of pain and humiliation were a dream I made up. My throat tightened. Why would I make that up? Ryan's eyes shifted away for a second, and then he shrugged. "You were out of it. You were emotional. You probably misunderstood." I felt my stomach drop, not from pain this time, just from realization. This wasn't an argument. This was him rewriting reality. When we went home, I tried again. I kept thinking maybe he needed time. Maybe he'd calm down and realize how horrible it was. But each time I brought it up, he did the same thing. Denial, dismissal, and then making me feel like I was the problem for even mentioning it. "You're still on that," he said once while I was holding the baby at 3 a.m. "Can you just drop it?" I started writing things down in my notes app, not because I was trying to win, because I needed to keep myself grounded, because when someone denies something so clearly true, you start doubting your own memory. I called my mom. My mom is traditional, the kind of woman who believes relationships are work and you don't just quit. She listened while I tried to explain, and I could hear her breathing change, like she didn't like what she was hearing but didn't want to say it. "That's wrong," she finally admitted. "It's very wrong." And then she said the thing I expected her to say. "But maybe try couples counseling first." I wanted to scream, not at her, just in general. "How do you do couples counseling with someone who says it never happened?" I asked. My mom hesitated. "Sometimes people say things they regret and then they get defensive." I wanted to believe that, I really did. So I tried. That weekend while the baby slept, I said, "Ryan, I think we need help, couples counseling, just to process what happened." He laughed one sharp sound. "For what?" "For how you treated me," I said. He shook his head like I was insane. "I'm not going to therapy because you're being dramatic." Dramatic, silly, emotional, always words that put me beneath him. My stomach turned cold. After that conversation, I knew, not "I have a feeling," not "I'm worried," I knew. This wasn't going to get better because he didn't want it to get better. He wanted me quiet, grateful, and easy. He wanted me to carry the weight and never complain. He wanted a baby and a girlfriend, not a partner. The next person I spoke to wasn't a friend. It wasn't even my mom. It was my public health nurse. She came for a check-in, routine questions about feeding, healing, mood. She watched my face more than my words. She asked, gently, "Do you feel supported at home?" I surprised myself by crying. Not dramatic sobbing, just tears sliding down my cheeks like my body had been holding them back for days. I told her carefully what happened. I expected her to look shocked. She didn't. She looked concerned but not surprised, like she'd heard versions of this before. "That's not okay," she said firmly, "and you're not overreacting." I felt like I could breathe for the first time in a week. She talked to me about safety, about support systems, about making a plan and not announcing it if I didn't feel safe emotionally. She told me to lean on people I trusted. She reminded me I'd just given birth and I needed calm around me, not conflict. When she left, I sat on the couch with my baby and stared at the wall for a long time. Ryan came in from the kitchen and said, "What's wrong with you now?" I didn't answer, I didn't argue, I didn't try to convince him. I just looked down at my baby's tiny face and thought, I can't raise a son around this. Because one day my son will watch how his father talks to me, and he will learn something. Either he will learn that it's normal to shame a woman when she's vulnerable, or he will learn that a woman can leave when she's disrespected. I started quietly planning. I didn't tell Ryan. I called my mom again. This time I didn't ask her opinion. "I need a place to stay," I said. There was a long pause, and then her voice softened in a way I hadn't heard in a while. "Bring the baby," she said. "You can stay here until you find something." I sat down and cried again, but this time it was relief. Over the next couple days, I did little things that felt huge. I gathered documents. I packed a bag with baby clothes and diapers. I made sure I had my own bank card and my own phone charger. I took photos of important papers in case something got lost. Ryan noticed me moving differently, quieter, focused, but he didn't connect it. He thought I'd just gotten over it, because that's what he wanted. One evening, he tried to be sweet. He came up behind me while I was rocking the baby and kissed my shoulder. "You've been weird," he said, "but it's fine, it's been stressful, just don't make me look bad, okay?" That sentence was like a final stamp, like he handed me the truth on a clean piece of paper. Don't make me look bad. Not "are you okay?" Not "I'm sorry." Not "I didn't realize I was hurting you." Just protect my image. That night, I stared at the ceiling next to him while he slept like nothing had happened, and I realized I wasn't scared of leaving anymore. I was scared of staying. Because if he could shame me while I was in labor, if he could deny it while I looked him in the eye, what else would he deny? What else would he twist until I questioned myself? I held my baby close and listened to his little breaths, so quiet, so trusting. The next step is the hardest part, and I haven't done it yet. Not because I don't want to, but because I want to do it safely and smart. I've been advised not to say anything until I'm ready to leave, not to threaten, not to argue, not to give him a chance to manipulate me into staying, just to move. So that's what I'm doing. I'm planning, I'm taking the help I have. I'm listening to professionals instead of my own guilt. I'm reminding myself that traditional doesn't mean endure abuse. And the strangest thing is, the more I plan, the calmer I feel. Because my baby's birth was supposed to be the moment I felt supported and protected. Instead, it became the moment I learned something sharper than pain. If someone is embarrassed by your suffering, they are not safe to share your life with. If you've ever had a partner shame you at your lowest, tell me what you did next. Did you leave? Did you stay? Or did you find a way to rebuild boundaries that actually held?